Hey everyone, I am back with another expert guest interview, and I'm super excited today because I have a wonderful guest who's going to share some really interesting things. We've been having a little bit of a banter before. So, again, welcome to the Successful Lead Generating Coaches Show. My name is Arfan, and I'm here today with Claire. Claire, how you doing today?
I'm great. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Claire is a former corporate lawyer, and she is now a business transformational coach for a lot of executives, those who are business professionals who are looking to really thrive in business. You want to thrive in business, be successful without sacrificing the salary you've earned, the expertise you've earned. And I'll let her get into that. So I'm super excited because we're actually been talking about something interesting, and it's a lot about her personal story of how she went from a former corporate lawyer that's been just exhausted and to someone who's now energized. And she's going to share with us some of the simple signs that you might be in burnout. Because one of the truth is that when we're going through burnout, we don't realize we're in it before we're at it. And it's like, oh no, I'm in burnout. Now you got to try to, relight the candles, so to say. So with that being said, Claire, can you just give us an introduction of yourself? Tell us about who you are and how you got into this work.
Absolutely. Well, it's exciting work because it's a chance for me to see lives change for the better in incredible people. And so,
Mhm.
you'll see I have a lot of energy about this, which is a good thing. Now, and the reason I feel so passionate about it is because I really do feel fully and identify with busy people, corporate executives, lawyers, accountants, doctors, the people
Mhm.
who sacrifice so much in their professional lives to be successful and then wake up one day thinking, what happened? Like, is this
Mhm.
the epitome of my success? Is I feel something missing inside. I feel stuck. I feel guilty about feeling stuck. Is this really it? And I've lived that. I was in that place. I worked really hard to have the title and the money and the shiny office and all of the things that I thought and did bring me happiness. And the harder the more of that I had. And yet inside, there was just this stuck feeling and this empty
Mhm.
feeling. And I knew I wanted something more. I just didn't know how to get there. And so I went on a really long journey. I was apparently a slow learner trying to figure out how to have it all, how to have an amazing life and career, money, and enjoy what I do, have a family, have a life, and feel good, feel aligned, feel energized.
Mhm.
And so through trial and error, I discovered practices that work. And now I coach people in that. And one of the biggest things I want people to know is it doesn't have to feel like you're adding more to your plate. I know what kept me stuck
Mhm.
as a really busy corporate lawyer for so long was I can't take on one more thing. I
Mhm.
can't. I only have so many hours in my day. Something's got to give if I take on one more thing. And so I want people to know that you can shift your energy, your alignment, shift how you feel without it being extra on your plate. It can be simple and fun and easy. And so that's my
Mhm.
mission now is to make it fun and easy and see good results.
That's awesome. That's a beautiful mission. Keep it light, keep it fun. That's great. Tell us a little bit about that moment. When was it that, what was kind of paint us a little picture? So you're a corporate lawyer, you're a high achiever, obviously, because you've been going at it, you got the shiny ups, things like that. But when was it that you realized that enough is enough? Like I'm in burnout. Like how did that come to light?
So there were two pivotal moments. The first one I listened to and then ignored, which was my health started to suffer.
Mm,
And I think that's something that a lot of people do experience. Our bodies are incredible machines, but it's like any machine, you have to take care of it and you have to, do things every day to kind of keep it working. If your printer doesn't have ink, it's not going to print, right?
yeah.
And so I found I was treating my printer better than I was treating my body some days, right?
Oh boy.
But I ignored it. I ignored it because I was in a world, and I'd love to speak to this because I think it will resonate with people. I was in a world where that's what everyone did. It was
Hmm.
normal. It was the price you paid, right? That's what paid the big bucks. I used to hear that a lot, right?
Yeah, that's so true.
Um, And so the chronic health conditions that I ignored for so long that were inconvenient, um, it was my first sign. And yet I was conditioned, and the people I was around, we were all conditioned to just keep pushing through, keep pushing through. You'll get that rest at some point. There'll be the downtime at some point. Don't you have a vacation in 3 months? That
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And so that was number one. Then I had a day, and this is it scared me more than anything, where I really didn't care. And I was a lawyer getting paid to care.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where I thought, I don't care what they do, just make a decision and do it. And I
Mm.
had that, it was a scary feeling of, if I don't, I'm the one who's supposed to care, right? If
Yeah.
I'm not caring, what does that mean about me? And I actually went back to, I was on a call. I was on a call with a bunch of people, and I just wanted it to end. I wanted them to decide, and I didn't care. And I thought, they're paying me to care. I need to figure this out. I went back to my
Mm.
office, and I sat down with a blank piece of paper, and I thought, I need to figure out what I want for my life. If I could just free write what would make me care, what is going on, and my pen just flowed, and I finally wrote, I want it all. Which I was like, how dare I want it all? Like, you have to sacrifice, right? You can't have it all.
Yeah.
I want it all. And I want it to be easier. I want it to feel easier. And again, how dare I? It was supposed to, if you were getting paid the big bucks, it was supposed to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
And those two questions I kept asking over and over and over again. And it set me on a path to find the answer. And I
That's
did, and it's
amazing.
wonderful. Yeah. So it's interesting how the signs are there often, and we ignore them,
Mm.
and we ignore them.
Yeah, I want to touch on that because that's often the big piece, right? Like you mentioned that the first sign was just how you were feeling physically, the ailments that you were coming on. What was the time frame between when you started feeling these ailments to when you finally was just like, okay, I gotta sit down and write this out? That second pivotal moment, like you was that was it like a week and then happened? Or like what was the duration from when that?
You know, that I really was calculating it in my head. I wish I could say it was a week. You know what? If I'm honest, it was probably 10 years.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So if you guys listening right now, I want you guys to really think about this because it was a similar thing for me too as well when I first started during the pandemics when I started my marketing agency and we kept working, didn't realize what it was to build a team. I was going through it, and it really was about a year and a half, 2 years into it to where I was talking to I have a regular counselor, so we're talking, and he gave me the burnout assessment, and that's when I realized that I was in such denial of it because he was like, I was like, no, burnout. I'm going, I'm doing a thing. I could easily do 60, 70 hours, no problem. And so as Claire's mentioned, it was about 10 years. And it's often as when the thing that goes missing, like we don't really realize it. We were talking about it before, like a lot of us don't realize that we're in burnout, we're going through it because it doesn't really have a what's the right word to say? It doesn't really have a head that's poking out. It's like screaming at you,
Right,
like, "Hey, I'm burnout."
right.
Sometimes you can have a knee pain, and it's like, okay, this is clear signs of there's something going on, maybe arthritis, something like that. But burnout can be a slow creep up that it comes on us. So you mentioned that that's like one of the signs and the symptoms, right? So someone listening
Yeah.
right now who may be feeling like they're potentially how can they know for sure that this is potentially a sign of burnout or they may be in it to kind of get a little bit more clarity on that.
Oh, I think it starts with them really asking themselves good questions, right? And taking the time to do that, and know that you're worth asking yourself the question, like, how do I really feel in my body, right? And I don't mean, do
Mm-hmm.
you have a knee ache, is your back ache, how do
Mm-hmm.
I feel in my body? How does everything that's going on around me sit with me? Because often we're carrying around so much of the burden, the burnout, the stress, the anxiety, and it could be located in certain places, it can be all over.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that a lot of us are very high functioning, right? And so we have
Mm-hmm.
high pain thresholds when it comes to burnout. It's not the person who needs to take a week off work because they're just so exhausted. You can be really high functioning, pushing through, if you find yourself saying things like, I can push through this, I'm just going to
Mm,
keep going. I need to keep going, right? Um, Interesting little signs that people don't realize, that I see a trend with my clients of burnout, procrastination
mm.
is a
Interesting.
huge sign of burnout. Avoidance, avoiding those
Really.
things that are uncomfortable and hard because you're just so depleted that there's only so much you can kind of fit into this realm of what you're doing. You may push through at work and get the thing done, but you're just procrastinating and avoiding the dentist appointment, right? The thing
Hmm.
that will take care of you. And so I see burnout, it in so many different facets, but it looks a lot like either from being totally depleted and having severe health issues, all the way down to just a lack of energy, a lack of
Hmm.
caring about certain things. I'll just keep pushing through and put up with it. Procrastination, avoidance. None of them are good for us. None of them are good for the people around us. And so if any of those words, if you're kind of going, oh, I do tend to do that. I tend
Hmm.
to avoid doing the things that I know would be good for me. I tend to procrastinate on things. I feel so depleted, but I'm just going to keep pushing through. That they're the little warning signs that I would say it doesn't make you any less of a, insert whatever you are, a
Hmm.
lawyer, a doctor, a professional, for you to acknowledge, hey, wait a minute, I think my printer might need some ink right now. What is it?
Yeah.
Um, and I just ignored those things for so long, and so many people do.
Yeah, it's true. It's one of the things that was for me was um I actually stopped valuing so much of my friendships. Not that I didn't value them anymore. It was just like the actual value of like, hey, let me be the one to initiate. Let's go let's hang out. Let's go. Oh my God, let's go fishing or something like that with some of my friends. Let's catch up. Let's make sure we stay connected. I just kind of let that go because it was like, it was always time for that later to rekindle the friendship or whatever the case may be. And
Right.
so much of that is actually needed to what I've learned was like it was really needed. And I want to ask you a question as far as like someone who right now is saying, you know what, I am trying to procrastinate because again, you may not be in full burnout, but you can see you're on the path to it, you're on the road to it.
Mhm.
And in your case, it took 10 years for you to realize, hey, I am in I'm burnt out. I gotta do something right now. But for those who we want to prevent and mitigate it, what are some tactical tips that they could start doing now if they're starting to feel these things I could describe? Because I feel like so many people are relating to this. And if they continue the path, they will be burned out in months, weeks, or years. We don't know exact time frame, but what can they do to start
Right.
mitigating it now?
Well, it's important things like not sacrificing important self-care, right? Important ones, because we'll often put that, we're too
Mm-hmm.
busy, there's too much going on. Nutrition, hydration, movement, sleep. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I know we hear this a lot, but these are the things that fill our fuel tanks. And again, our bodies can't continue to operate optimally. And that should be the goal for all of us, right? That
Mm-hmm.
our bodies are optimized in anything we do. If we choose to be a high functioning executive, a parent, whatever it is, that our bodies are optimized. And, the place I came from, people work through lunch, right? That was sometimes a badge of honor. I don't have time to eat.
Mm-hmm.
People don't
Yeah.
have time to drink water, and I certainly don't have time to, I'm going on pulling all nighters and I've only had 4 hours sleep, right? So
Mm-hmm.
those basic things, that's simple. If you And I tell people, I'm not asking you overnight to start, eating a macro balanced diet, drinking, 100 ounces of water, sleeping
Mm-hmm.
8 hours, and hitting the gym. No, that's too much for everyone, to be honest. But start simply, take it back a notch and find some simple things. Know that these things are important
Mm-hmm.
and think, what can I do? What will I do on a daily basis that fits these categories that will start to help me take care of myself? So if it's, I'll
Mm-hmm.
make a commitment to drinking more water, just make that one little commitment. I'll make a commitment to turning the TV off half an hour earlier and getting some good sleep. I'll make a commitment to going for a walk when I can. Whatever that is that you know you will do, start doing that for yourself. Taking time to renew and recharge. Again, our bodies need that downtime. And when we're fully interconnected the way we are now, I keep these quotes about what if the world turned off at 6 o'clock like it used to, when
Yeah.
stores closed, businesses closed.
Mhm.
Um, but we're fully connected all the time, and we feel the need to do that. Otherwise, there's something wrong with us, right? If we're
Mhm.
not answering the text or the email. But recognizing that you as a human need a break from being fully accessible, fully connected, just to have that downtime.
It's true.
And it and enjoying where you are. One of the biggest things I think a lot of us miss out on is being present right now in a moment, because we're thinking ahead to what needs to be done, or we're um, looking at what we didn't do. And so, really making a commitment to being intentional about what you're doing in that moment can really start to turn a light on in people. And these seem like simple little things, like go for a walk, drink water, be
Mhm.
present in your body and where you are, breathe. I almost forgot that one. I don't know if you do breath work. I know you
Yeah, I
breathe,
do.
breathe, but most of us don't breathe, right?
Mhm.
Most of us take these little shallow breaths, and it's another thing for people to notice, in the midst of your stressful day or in a stressful moment. Just notice how you're breathing. It tends to kind of be that shallow um,
Chest breath.
breath work. Yeah, the chest breath. Breath work can be the answer to so many problems for people. Just slowly taking in 3 deep breaths and feeling that oxygen go through our bodies, because we don't even give ourselves that time. I remember sitting behind my desk as a corporate lawyer, downloading an app to encourage me to breathe, and I didn't have time to sit with the
You
app,
do the
or so I
app.
thought. I didn't have time to breathe. Um,
Yeah.
recognizing that these small little things, when you micro habits stack, they can create such huge impact and results for you. And most of the people
Absolutely.
who really want to do this are achievers, right? We want to achieve big results. What if you could do it with small, simple little things like
Mhm.
this?
So I think there's you broke down quite a bit for us of really how to prevent it, to start if you're experiencing these symptoms now, to start coming out of it, to reclaim that feeling of energy. And it's really important. The way you describe it is to start off small. I think what it sounds like to me is when you mentioned earlier that it doesn't add extra to their life. It doesn't feel like it's so much. But when you mentioned like, hey, if you do, all of a sudden you're drinking 100 ounces and you're going for a 30-minute walk and you're hitting the gym every day and all these different things, it could feel like a lot. You start off a little bit. So am I understand that right? It's just like, hey, let's start off with just one or two little habits that you could include. Like if you're at a desk anyway, so have a few bottles of water so that way you're drinking enough water. Um, Set like a little timer or something like that to maybe even practice breathing or something. One thing I have an app called iLeo, and it's interesting, but what it does, it
Oh,
actually I set the timer, and about every 20
hmm
minutes, it tells me to take a break. And it's intended for
hmm
your vision because if
right.
anyone's wearing contacts or glasses, if you're wearing your full
Yeah.
strength glasses, which is meant for driving and distance viewing while you're at the computer, your eyes are going to get worse each and every single doctor visit. But like these, I have two glasses. This is my drive in, and these are actually computer. But you know, anyways, I digress. So I use that as an opportunity to take a little micro
Yeah.
break to actually just fix my posture, breathe, and things like
Yeah.
that. Played a big
Yeah.
role for someone sitting at the computer for sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours a day. So, anyways, what I hear you saying,
Yeah.
and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is just really just start implementing these small little habits that can have a big compound effect.
It really does have a compounding effect. And it I've learned personally, I've seen this happen with colleagues, clients over the years. If you're a go big or go home, and I'm going to do all of this stuff because I want maximum results, right?
Mhm.
I really want to. I've decided I'm going to conquer this burnout thing. I've decided I'm going to conquer my health. All right. in. What happens to most people is they get derailed. You know, you'll go all in for a while and then
Mm.
something will happen, and it's hard to sustain this big activity consistently over time. And so what I've seen from the practice of micro habits, micro steps, if you just take it back and really sit down and decide the goal is consistent, intentional activity, consistent, intentional habits that will move me over time. And you know, you blink and the needle has moved immensely. You just because of that compounding. But you
Mhm.
start out simply. What happens is you will achieve it. You set yourself a goal, drink a couple more bottles of water a day. Okay. The more you do that, you achieve it. You get that reward in your brain, right? That says, you
Mhm.
did this. All right, what else could I
Yeah.
do? And you continue. Your brain doesn't know the difference between the reward it feels from adding a couple of bottles of water a day to I went and did an Ironman. You know, it feels that same boost of
Mhm.
you achieved something today that you
It
set out
does.
to do. The more you stack that, the more you want to do. Versus, and I've been there that, right, I'm going to get up at 5, I'm going to hit the gym every day, I'm doing the
Mhm.
boot camp class, I'm eating a salad for lunch. You know, within 4 days, you know, I got invited out and then I ate pizza and then I had a glass of wine and then I didn't get up for the gym the next day. And then what story am I telling myself? There you go again. You
Mhm.
can't keep this up, you know? And so if we can set ourselves up for success with those small little things, and what I consistently tell people is find the things you will do. What I will do might not be the thing that is best for you. So you know
Yeah.
yourself. What will you do? What will you enjoy doing? Start out small, do it consistently, feel the reward, and then add on. And then
Mhm.
add on. You will feel is those cups start to fill up across the board. You start to just feel a little different. You think, is this really from drinking more water? Well, probably is. All right, what else can I do? Right?
Yeah.
I thought all those magazines and articles were right about that
They were right the
hydration
whole
thing.
time,
Okay, what
really?
else?
I love that you mentioned that you got
But
to find what works for you, because one of those things, like in my experience with the meditation, for example, people talk meditate, meditate. It's so helpful. The more you do it, the better it's going to feel. The more you do it, the longer you can do it. And at first, it was really hard for me just to sit there and meditate. It was like a minute, and my legs started just bouncing and things like that. And what I had to do was really just explore different ways, and I found now the actual way that I could actually meditate, and it made me different than someone else. Like if I try to have someone else do what I do, they're going to be like, there's no way I can do that. Like, it's just not going to work. So you have to find what really works for you, what really gets your gears going. It's a really, really true
yeah,
statement to do that.
yeah, yeah. And you know, then the step beyond that is as well, give yourself permission if something's not working, throw it out. You know, just because it worked for Arfan doesn't mean it's going to work for me. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean about me that the meditation thing isn't for me right now. All right, throw it out. What would I replace it with? What, you know, maybe going for a walk, doing a walking you know, just walking around your neighborhood. That's a
Mm-hmm.
meditation for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
But just to give yourself that permission to continue seeking what works for you, and when you find it, you fine tune that thing and you'll do it more and more and more. And so that's the beautiful practice that I see people succeed with, and they can sustain it over time. And that's how you live a vibrant, energetic life, succeeding at work, not giving up the salary, not giving up the title, not giving up the life, because you've consistently shifted your
Mm-hmm.
capacity over time, really. I wish I'd known this back when I was a lawyer. Well, maybe I would still be a lawyer if I'd known this back then. I don't know. That wasn't my path, but
Yeah, yeah, we're on our journey. That's really awesome. I appreciate this conversation because it's one of those things where, again, burnout is such an interesting topic, and a lot of people on the back end of it, they can look back and they can pinpoint, wow, that was actually my early signs of burnout. That was one of the biggest ones, and the reason we're titled this episode "Simple Signs You Might Be in Burnout" is because it really can be these subtle, simple things that we overlook by saying, okay, I'm looking forward to my vacation in 3 months, when in reality, well, what's going on right now that you're like, man, you're pushing through for 3 months until you get a vacation? Like there's something more serious that's happening that's causing you to burn out, to really take a step back and look at that. So some of these actionable things. The last thing I want to talk about today, and it's something that's really interesting because we talk about self-care, and you gave a little list of things for self-care. I was with a relative recently, and they just recently had a loss. And part of it is that, the doctor was like, you're, to do self-care. They have a therapist, and the therapist was like, do self-care. So I sat with them and I was like, okay, so what are you doing? She looked at, she goes, what's self-care? And it was just so interesting because it was just being tossed out there. And they said all these things like, oh, like maybe get like a little habit, move more, things like that. So I'm so surprised sometimes that there are people who just like and there's no judgment, but it's just one of those things where it's like there's not enough information still. As much as there have been, there's still not enough information as far as what self-care looks like. So can you give us some
Mhm.
clarity for someone who's maybe totally confused? Like, hey, I hear it happening. I hear you mention move and things like that, but what is actually self-care? What would you say to answer that question?
Well, I'll start interestingly with what a lot of people, what it's not specifically, what a lot of people think it is. They think, oh, you mean I need to go get a massage or um, go have a bath or something. I think it's from all of the magazine articles over the years that advise people do that for self-care, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and really, it's so much more basic in so many ways because there are basic human needs that we aren't meeting, like I say, with the hydration, nutrition, sleep, movement. But big picture to self care, if you think of self care, wellness, well being,
Mm.
optimizing, we are these machines, our brains, our physical bodies, our organs, our emotions, our spirituality, all our relationships, everything makes us who we are. Giving yourself that moment, because so many of us just don't give the moment to sit and think, what feels good to me?
Mm-hmm.
What would make me feel good right now? What would light me up? What would give me some energy? What would fire me up in some ways? Because self-care to one person could be going for a run, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are the runners out there that get that high from going from a
Yeah.
self-care to someone else could be saying no to the request, putting boundaries in place. Like if I say yes to you, that means I'm saying no to someone else, and usually it's me, right? You say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. So it may be, you know what? I need to put some boundaries in place. It runs the gamut of things that, and I'm sure your family member, when the therapist said self care, they meant everything. Get better sleep,
Mm-hmm.
start cutting back on some of your obligations and make more time for you. And that time you get back could be you spend it with loved ones, you sit in a chair and read a fun book for once, a
Yeah.
book that isn't there like teach you something. Maybe it's just fun, you zone out on a TV show, you do something that enriches you in some way. And it starts by you asking yourself that. And so self-care runs the gamut. I have actually a guide that I can provide to people that has a list of just ideas, ideas that me, things that are self-care to me and to a lot of people. But just stop and ask yourself that question. What makes me feel good? What would help me feel good right now? It might be sitting on the sofa with your feet up.
Yeah.
It could be that simple. And people say, "Oh, that sounds it must be nice to be you." Well,
Well, that's what the thing I love about it, because it is really that simple, and it's something that's overlooked. And sometimes, like, if you're listening right now and you like, sometimes you might need just to hear the words that you have the permission to, and you have the permission to do it. It's not selfish. It's something, and I've advanced the word myself personally. Now it's more soul care for me versus like self care,
okay.
because really just what my soul needs. And I could be like hanging out with a friend or going. I love hiking in the woods. And I might take a trip for a few days and just go to a national park and
Yeah.
spend uh, miles and miles in the in the woods, and I love that. It just rejuvenates me in a really really great
Yeah.
way, and I get a lot of mental
Yeah.
clarity. And that's one of the things I noticed, that if I'm starting to head into burnout, my mental clarity kind of starts going away. And as
Yes.
soon as I can take a long walk or a hike around neighborhood, and it comes back, and it's no, okay, I'm
Yeah.
rejuvenating myself. I'm not looking forward to
Yeah.
something months later. I'm looking forward to, hey, I'm going to be hanging out with my wife later on. We're going to watch our show. And
Right.
those are some of the signs I know now that I'm not in the burnout, and I'm more into thriving, more feeling that energized feeling. So I'm happy
Yeah.
you helped to break that down for us. It really does add a lot of clarity. So with that being said, we're wrapping up. This conversation flew by, and I know we could spend hours talking about this and go into the deeper layers, especially if you're not at that early stage where you're starting to feel these signs and you are in a later state. Claire, how can someone get? I know you have a resource you want to share, so you can share that and also tell us how can we get a hold of you. So if someone does need to actually maybe want to work with you or even get more hands-on support, how they can do that.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to say is do do ask for help. So many high achievers don't. I didn't for so long. I thought it was a sign that I couldn't help myself.
Mm-hmm.
If there's someone else who can make that journey a little bit easier for you, be it someone like me who's a coach, reaching out to Arfan, talking to a friend about it, ask for help. I have a resource that is an art of self-care guide that you can, it's a downloadable ebook, and we'll provide the link, and
Yeah, I'll drop the
you
link.
can download it to your phone and read it in your own time. You will also be able to reach out to me. You'll get an email from me, and you'll get on my mailing list. And I send out a lot of tips and techniques quite often. I don't spam, but and then you can reach me on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time there. Claire Hetherington Darr, and I have a link for my LinkedIn profile. Message me. I have a website, clairedarr.com, as well. You can message me there. I will reply. I am a real human. I love to get to know people. I offer free discovery calls just for people to say, is this for me? Is it even something I want to do? Is it the right time for me?
Mm.
Because timing is everything, and I want to work with people who are ready to do something, and will get the benefit from that transformation. There's nothing better than that. So lots of ways to reach me, and I hope I get to speak to some of you, and just hopefully just inspire hope that no matter where you are on that journey, be it in the I don't think I'm in burnout, but she said a few things that I don't like the sound of,
Mm.
to I'm totally depleted and I want to just quit everything. Whatever stage you're at, the transformation can happen quickly and simply, and there is always hope to feel that little bit better each day. And so I just want people to really know that.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, Claire, for being with me today. Everybody, if you're listening, don't forget to grab the resource. I'll put the link below in the description in the show notes. And so you just click and download that from Claire. She'll send it over to you. Connect with her on LinkedIn. And if you really are seeking, like, hey, I would love to go from exhausted to energized, definitely book a discovery call with her to see if you guys would be a good fit to work together. And for all the coaches that are listening, those who are full-time coaching and things like that, if any of this resonates with you, start looking at what you can start implementing right now. Just kind of do like a quick assessment. Are you, how you're feeling, and kind of go from there. So I think Claire gave us a lot of tips that can help you out today. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Don't forget to give this video a like, share it with someone that you think might be, helpful for them, and subscribe to the channel for more videos, interviews. And with that being said, thank you, everyone. I will catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.